Welcome into Mac and Mose. Andy McNamara, joined by the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com, Rob Mosley. We're here to wrap up the 120th edition of the Civil War. In this one, it was Oregon State 34, Oregon 24. The Beavers snapped Oregon's 8-game winning streak in the series that had tied the longest winning streak by either side in the history of the rivalry. This was an interesting game. I think we knew going in that it would be, hard fought, that the Beavers would come out with everything they had, and the two sides really sort of just traded blows for a lot of this one, and then all of a sudden the rain came and it just washed the Ducks away in the fourth quarter, and Oregon State went to their strength, which is running back Ryan Nall in their running game, and utilized just a massive advantage in time of possession to wear down the Oregon defense and ended up putting this one away.
Yeah, they were doing some option stuff early on. They were throwing the ball early on. And kind of like the Utah game, you wondered, when are they just going to start pounding it between the tackles and do what's worked for most every Oregon opponent this year, unfortunately. And as soon as the rain started, it was like, hey, flush all that other stuff. Let's go with our power back. And he got the job done. The rain, there were drop passes. There were even more missed tackles than there had been. The bad snaps all of a sudden when the rain started. The Ducks just didn't respond well to that. I think it sort of spoke to just the youth of this team and sort of not reacting well to adversity, which we saw most weeks this season. Utah and Cal are a couple exceptions where they kept fighting despite some deficits. But, another learning experience for them to take into the offseason and try to build off, to react better to conditions like that.
Yeah, this is definitely a different way to end the season, and for a lot of those new guys, especially the freshmen, to have this sort of stick as the final memory of 2016. You hope that motivates them not only next year, but in preparation for next year.
Yeah, this program's identity nationally has been, flashy uniforms and big, gaudy, luxurious buildings. But really the foundation of this program is getting, you're not getting a lot of 5-star recruits. You're getting 3-star guys like Brennan Schooler and Troy Dye and Justin Herbert, who come in and you develop them because they work hard, because they love the game and they're passionate and they want to live football. And so, one of the encouraging parts about seeing those guys emerge is that it sort of feels like, hey, maybe this program's going back to its roots a little bit. That, when you contend for a couple national championships, you can get some recruits you couldn't get before. But that's not necessarily within the identity of this program, so I'm looking forward to the next couple of years is to really again see this program go back to its roots, get guys who just love the game, and that translates to work ethic January through December, not just during the football season.
Last night was the senior banquet, the end of year banquet, which always happens the day after the Civil War, and I was curious going into it what the vibe would be like, and usually it's a joyous occasion, and it's sort of the bridge between the regular season and the bowl game. Not to be this year, but really the takeaway that I had from the banquet, it was very similar to previous ones. And you watch all these highlight films and you hear the guys talk, and you remember, it really wasn't that long ago. Yeah. Dwayne Stanford's highlight tape was ridiculous. Yeah. Like one touchdown after another, it seemed. Some of the words from the seniors as they were, making their senior video, and you have the young guys in the room. Lane Roseberry, who didn't play at all this year, who finally just his body couldn't take anymore, said, in his video, hard work. In his view, hard work beats talent when talent hardly works. Yeah. And the biggest audible moment of the banquet was in his highlight reel. He trucked, I believe it was Daquan McDowell, and it was practice film. It wasn't even a game, and the whole room is just like, and it was just, you see stuff like that. Jeff Locke had some great nuggets, and Mark Helfrich even quoted Jeff Locke at the end of the banquet, something that he had said after the Cal game, and it just, I came away with it going, this program, these guys are leaving, and I know that we talked a lot about a lack of leadership among this particular group, but I think that there were enough positives there to really see some encouragement going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I hope the guys looked at somebody like Michael Manns, who was voted most inspirational player by his teammates. Hardly saw the field the last 2 years, but has just been working his tail off for 5 years as a scout team defensive back. Made it onto the travel squad a little bit this year, but still didn't translate into playing time much, if at all. And Jeff Locke, Cody Carriger, another fifth-year senior who, in a perfect world, he's a guy who's contributing. He's not, but he still showed up every day, worked his tail off. There wasn't that perfect mix of guys who were great players and great leaders on this team, with a couple of exceptions. And unfortunately, Devin Allen got hurt, and Johnny Reagan was hurt most of the year, and Dwayne Stanford got hurt. But there were some guys to set the tone in terms of the culture and the character this program wants to have, and the work ethic guys need to have. And just, you need people to pick up that torch and carry it. And the good news going forward, again, is guys like Dye and Schooler and Herbert and these freshman offensive linemen look like they can be that combination of leadership and ability and proven performance in games that gives them cachet with their teammates. So a foundation is being set. This is just a hugely key offseason to capitalize on that and actually make something of it.
Yeah, recruiting will certainly play a big part as well in this. I use a baseball analogy. You always want to be strong up the middle. Your catcher, your middle infielders, your center fielder, obviously pitcher. And in football, you can look at, on offense, it's the quarterback, but it's also the center. And Jake Hansen's another young guy, redshirt freshman, that I think has an opportunity to really, be a central figure in this sort of rebuild for the Oregon Ducks.
You talk about guys on this team who love football. Jake Hansen loves football. He's going to work hard to get this team back where it needs to be.
And defensively, on the back end, it's very encouraging. Brendan Schooler, had some great moments, had some not so great moments as well, but a true freshman that played as many snaps as anybody on this team. You're going to add Brady Breeze to that next year, who really was probably in line to play this year before a real late injury in fall camp, kept him in a red shirt. And then, Troy Dye at the linebacker spot. So now it's a matter of getting some guys on that defensive line so that you have some strength at each level of the defense. And, it really, the way that college football has evolved, you could certainly have a run of bad seasons, but we've seen it before. Team can bounce back. Auburn a couple of years ago had a season, a very disappointing, forgettable season, much like Oregon had this year, and then came back the next year and they're playing for it all. So there's definitely encouraging signs with the personnel on hand, but there are there's no sugarcoating it. There needs to be some addition of talent at some key spots.
But player development can't be overlooked either. I mean, you look at Gary Baker and the strides he made on the defensive line. Wayne Tate Kirby getting plugged in there, a big body defensive tackle. Drayden Carlberg showed some promise before his body started breaking down, and Elijah George made a transition over from offensive line. Those, more likely than not, and Rex Manu, who, once he gets back from his injury, more likely than not, those are your defensive tackles going into next year. I mean, maybe you can go get a junior college guy, but I think, the track record just shows this team and others that, you can't always just count on a junior college guy showing up and contributing right away. Usually they need a year at least to adjust to the system. And expecting a true freshman, again, to come in, unless you're going to get Haloti Ngata, that's a lot to ask. So those guys need to develop. They need to get stronger. They need to get faster, and they need to just get, another year under their belt of learning this defense, because they were learning a new defense this year, and just playing their assignments right, knowing their assignments and then playing them correctly. And so much of that gets done in January, February, March, and then through the summer. And guys just have to be committed to not wanting to go 4-8 again. As Mark Helfrich told the team in the locker room afterward, the outcome's on the coaching staff, starting with Helf himself. For the players, what's on them is working their tails off the next 8 months so that they never have to experience that feeling again, because it stung and they were feeling it.
4-8 is where the Ducks end up for the season overall. They were 2-7 in the Pac-12. Definitely not the season that anyone expected, but it is what it is. The positive news, as I'm eternally half full, Oregon's 0-0 now. Yeah. That year is done, and now really you are looking forward to next year. And I agree with you. I'm not saying that as far as the D-line that guys need to be replaced.
Certainly.
But, just from a depth standpoint, we saw it at the end of the year. Yeah. There were injuries are going to happen. It's football, and not only do you have to have depth, but you have to have guys at the first string, the second string, the third string. I mean, those guys need to know what's up. They need to have experience so that when they do have their number called, they're able to perform. And Brady Hoke was very complimentary of the D line yesterday at the banquet, and I know it had to be a really tough season for him to watch these guys struggle, but you could tell he was really proud of these guys. That Gary Baker went from a scout team guy on basically a Tuesday to playing in a game on a Saturday
and starting the next Saturday. Yeah.
So it's the learning curve, just by necessity was super steep for these guys. So. That'll do it for our final Mac and Mose of the 2016 season. And
adios, 2016.
Yeah, exactly. We won't say what we really feel about 2016, but overall, this was Let's just flush this. January is right around the corner, and a fresh start for the Oregon Ducks. As always, if you have anything for us, anything you'd like us to answer for you, comments, we love to get them. On Twitter, I'm at McNamara UO. He is at Duck Football. Until next time, we'll see you.